Hello, America and curling fans from Canada and Newfoundland. This is your host, Ryan Olson, with you with the latest coverage from the 2023 MoPac Mixed Playdowns, coming to you from Coyotes Curling Club in Tempe, Arizona. We have the first routes being delivered by the teams on Sheet C this morning in the seventh draw of the tournament. It's Team Malerich from Silicon Valley taking on Team Mewers of Hollywood. This shot coming from Team Mewers looks to be around the guard that's just to the right of center. There's only 2 games on the ice this morning. The other game is on Sheet B, featuring Team Chen from Hollywood taking on Team Stephanie from Wine Country Curling. Those are California teams. It's a California morning here at Coyotes, as it's all California teams on the ice.
We need to put the results on here. Yeah, I'll get it.
So this one looks to be a little heavy, and we'll go through the house. This net strut coming from Mewers is, I believe it's their, well, I don't want to misspeak, so we'll see who this is in a moment as his rock is underway going down the ice. So this is the second for Malerich. This is Kevin Jorgensen, who's been curling since 2018. So for some of these teams, it's going to be their last game on the ice. We have 12 teams in this field, so we have 2 pools of 6 teams apiece. Each team plays 5 games, and then the top 2 teams in each pool will advance to the semifinals. Should there be any tie at the end of pool play, we have tiebreaker set up. Everyone's favorite. Everyone loves tiebreakers. Don't let anyone tell you differently. So we do have those set for later today. Should they be necessary, we'll keep you updated as we go along. But every team gets 1 more game. So for these 4 teams on the ice, this could be their last game of the tournament. Net strut coming from it is their curious about the throwing order here. Sorry. Oh, I'm in your way.
One side. Does this pick us up?
No, it's
Figured that out.
So we're back. Awesome. So it looks like we are. I think these are stipstones already. There's a little bit of lag on the camera this morning. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I do know that our equipment is a little affected by the cold, so we'll see what we can do here. It's a little jumpy, unfortunately. But joining me on the broadcast, if you want to unmute there, is Lindsay Estabrooks?
Yes.
Sweet, terrific. And he's with Coyotes. Would you mind just kind of letting us know a little bit about what you do here at the club?
Well, I'm like anybody else. I'm a member here at the club, but I also have responsibilities. I'm the chair of the membership committee and the chair of the skill development committee, so it keeps me busy at times, right? As we, especially since we're continuing to try to grow the membership of the club.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, obviously, when you have dedicated ice, it's really important to build a membership because each sheet, you know, by classic curling math, needs to represent a certain number of members in order to, break even and to grow even.
So absolutely, we're paying for the ice 24/7, right?
Yeah.
And so if we're not using the ice, we're still paying for the ice.
So these are third rots, and this is I'm pretty sure Melissa Wheeler, the vice for Team Malerich, looking for a takeout weight there. My goodness. So, what have you been thinking about the competition so far? And obviously, Coyotes host a lot of competitions.
We do, and we're happy to host this because we see a number of people that have been to our club before, right? And it's always good to see fellow curlers coming from other clubs on that, and we'd like to be supportive of the region and USA Curling as well. And next week we're hosting another event. What we're doing there is a World Curling Tour event, right? Call it that we named the Ed Wernick Golden Wrench Classic because Ed has been a friend of the club for years and years, and we thought we would order him. And for those people who don't know, Ed Wernick was a world competition level skip back in the 80s.
Yes. So he's kind of almost like a generation before kind of the big names that a lot of people would know who came into the curling at the start of the Olympics era, like 1998 and on.
Exactly. Yep.
So it sounds like a really exciting tournament. What sort of teams who would one expect to see, especially either if they're here in the club or if they're watching on the Coyotes YouTube page?
Well, there will be the team that won gold for the U.S. in the 2018 Winter Olympics, and although only half of the players from that team will be here because there has been changes out.
Is Landsteiner going to be there? I know he doesn't. He sometimes is taking a little bit of time off. He has a new child, I think, in the past year, if I remember correctly.
I think John Landsteiner is going to be here. Matt Hamilton is not.
Okay.
Right? And Tyler George, of course, who left the team now almost 4 years ago.
It has been a while. Yeah. Well-deserved step back, and I think Chris Plies has stepped up into the third role for Team Schuster and done a really excellent job. So it looks like we're now to Stip Stones here. Red Rocks are Team Muir. They're sitting one back to the button. And it looks like, oh, did I get it backwards? It looks like Malerich is red and Mewers is yellow. Mewers put one right on the lid. Looks like corner frozen.
Nice.
What do you think about kind of the setup here? Especially since I do believe it is Malerich with the hammer to start things off.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard shot, but still doable. Coming down with soft weight could move that yellow off, right? And end up setting two. The danger is, of course, they're going to knock their own red out the back, right, if they're too heavy.
And that does seem to be the shot they have lined up as Melissa Wheeler has the broom down and Jeremy Malerich heads down the ice for his shot. It looks like, what weight do you think to make that shot?
I think this has to be no more than board weight to do this, because it's got to get around that guard and hopefully over to the right side of the nose, so it pushes it off that way without impacting their red sitting in the back four.
I can see that. And also, if the shot is pretty close to mate, even if they're not sitting shots, then at least it reduces the scoring area and it diminishes the chance of Mewers stealing. So it's the first end. I guess ideally you want to try and go for 2 points or more. It looks like a wrecked on the guard there.
Yep.
It opened things up.
Yep.
So
yep.
not a bad outcome.
Yep. That's what would be called a good miss. Right? As opposed to a bad miss would be just to go shoot the house.
Well, in events like this, it's the teams that don't make as many mistakes, or they make the right types of mistakes, that do better in these events. So let's see. I'm just getting the scoreboard updated here. Have you been watching many of the games here this weekend?
I haven't watched them all. Right? I watched one on Thursday and one yesterday.
Any thoughts about the field? There's definitely a lot of Coyotes teams in the field, as per usual. Coyotes is usually well represented in tournaments like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have some of our very strong teams here, and we have some of our teams that are fairly new. Looking on sheet B, and there's one player on there that I know has been curling for only a year.
And he's done really well in this tournament.
Yeah, that's Darren Campbell.
He's not curling for Coyotes team, but he, I think he's curling for Stephanie, if that's right, if I remember correctly, the one country team.
Yeah.
So this is not the outcome that Malerich, I think, was probably looking for in this first end. They are setting second shot, but to try and get that Mewers yellow out is going to be a challenge. I wonder if they're just going to try and draw and hope for some success here.
It's going to be difficult.
Yes.
It's coming nicely.
Looks like he needs to finish up.
Yep. No.
But
Maybe steal a one.
A steal of one, but a nice attempt. Also, I think trying to get a read of the ice, I think in terms of just trying to find the right line, the right timing. It looks like he had the time right for that time. Just a little too much ice.
Yep.
So it is Team Mewers taking a steal of one after the first end. We'll take a break from the feature sheet action, and we will be back in just a moment to the 2023 MoPac Mixed Playdowns from Coyotes Curling Club. Yeah. 1 second. Live streaming of this and other regional competitions is powered by the 18 clubs and 1,500 members of the Mountain Pacific Curling Association. Our mission serves to grow curling and foster competition in Arizona, California, Idaho, Nevada, Oregon, and Utah. Visit mopacca.org today to find a curling club near you or for help getting one started in the community. And we are back here in the second end of the morning draw here at Coyotes Curling Club. Team Mewers from Hollywood stole the first end, and so now it's time for Team Malerich of Silicon Valley to respond as Malerich's lead, Sydney Jorgensen, gets sets. She's been curling since 2019, and her accomplishments include being on the winning team as lead for or at the San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club Turkey Spiel. She was also at the Barrel in 2022. That's the Wine Country Curling Teams tournament. And we do hear a little bit of laughter in the warm room this morning. As just what do you feel about just having a curling club, especially when it's dedicated to curling, as opposed to a hockey arena where you have to share the space with skating and hockey and the like?
Oh, huge difference. When you're in control of your space and on that, you don't have to talk about the ice itself, right? At this point, right? The difference is, but having your own space and it's just curlers here or curling aficionados, right? People want to watch curling, and that's plus we have some very nice, comfortable couches for people to right in front of the glass to watch, and they love that.
And those are nice couches. They're second-hand at the very least, right? But they were a good find, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah. We bought them second-hand, and they're working out just rather well.
Well, and then the other thing about having a curling center such as this is that I was kind of reading off of Sydney Jorgensen's tournament experience, and so being able to travel to different curling clubs to that experience, and it's not just dedicated as an arena club can hold a tournament, but just to have these people come and visit the club, and this shared experience. Any thoughts about that?
Well, it's all of our visitors afterwards say, "We can't wait to come back." Right?
Yeah.
They love our facility, right? They love the coziness of it, right? They love the exclusiveness of it. Yeah, we don't have the best layout going as far as clubs go and things like that, but it's adequate, right? We've improved on it over the years. And for instance, the tables that we're sitting at right now, this year we added skins to them that have a hog to backline portion of a sheet of ice, and we keep little cups of poker chips that have two colors on them, and we can actually be sitting broom stacking and talk about, well, in the sixth end you had a rock here, and we had a rock here, and we went for this. Did you ever think about doing this? So it's great fun.
Yeah. And curling is kind of a great sport for that, either, being able to go back and rewatch these YouTube videos, or in the warm room after a game, just kind of talking about how certain shots were set up and what people saw and what they didn't see. This next route coming from Kevin Jorgensen. Another end where there's a decent number of rocks in play. Looks like these teams are doing a lot of draws. I don't think I've seen many takeouts so far in this game. It's still early. I was talking about that. It looks like we might see a takeout here. Jorgensen ran the yellow across the house into the other yellow, gets rid of one, and then the yellow. Oh, we have a technical timeout on the sheets. You can see them with the X. It's not a new dance move. It is encouraging the timers to stop the clock, because these games are timed. Curious to see what's going on here. Looks like the hack is loose.
But our ice maker, Sean Tate, is on the ice.
Indeed.
Going to look to see what needs to be done.
Also, they're really cleaning the ice. So I wonder if maybe the hack was knocked loose, and maybe they were kind of dragging their foot a little bit more than they would, and they're just making sure the ice in front of the glide path is clear. One of the nice things is that there are only 2 games on the ice out of 4 possible sheets, and so finding a new hack, he can borrow a hack from another sheet if he needs to, at least to keep the game going, and then resolve the issue with the hack that he just took out.
Yeah, and that's likely what he'll do, but he's brought another hack from the back room, I think.
So he does have the hat here, and these hats are they're not frozen to the ice. Like some clubs have the hats frozen into the ice. These are meant to be removed. There's pins that can be placed into placeholders in the ice, and that means that they can be removed for easier cleaning, and also so that the ice scraper can get around the sheet without having to navigate. Because there's no space in the back, they can't get around the hacks.
No. And what we do is when we're doing a scrape, we take the hacks out, and then we put little pieces of foam in the holes that the hacks came out of. But if we're doing a flood, instead of putting that, we put in actually just some copper pipe, right, set in there so that the water won't go into the holes.
Yeah, you don't want water in the holes. You don't want cut ice. That's why you put the foam. Snow.
Yep.
Exactly. So as we mentioned, the other game on the ice is on sheet B. It is another California battle between Team Chen of Hollywood and Team Stephanie of Wine Country. So it's a north-south battle there. You just say there's no love lost between Northern California and Southern California, but most of the time Southern California doesn't care about Northern California. So.
Well, talking to some of the people from the clubs in both NoCal and SoCal, right? They try to schedule their bonspiels so they don't interfere with each other, so that, and they were talking about one point in time having sort of an all California type of championship where it wasn't just the win of one bonspiel, but all the points that you might get from curling at each bonspiel, right, together, and then someone could be designated as Team California.
That would be exciting, and also I like. These clubs get along really well with each other. It's just like the regional rivalry, kind of like Dodgers and Giants, or San Francisco 49ers and whatever NFL teams in LA these days. There wasn't an LA team for 25 years.
But it's, there's competition, but it's very amicable,
yes,
which fits with the curling
yeah.
culture.
Yeah, people want to win, but it's important to win the right way.
Yep.
As the Spirit of Curling says, like a curler would prefer to lose honorably than to essentially cheat to win.
Yeah.
So it looks like Sean Tate has he's cleaned stuff up around the hack. They're heading back to the equipment area, and David Hernandez gets set. So it looks like they changed the throwing order for this last game. That's kind of what threw me off. Kira Manayan threw first rocks, and now this is David Hernandez throwing second stones. He's been curling since 2021, and since then on his resume he's got like 10 items on his list. It's really great how people are traveling to these events, because I know when I first started curling I didn't really travel until my third year, and so these people are really traveling, almost as soon as they get started. I mean, you have Darren on sheet 1. I mean, I don't know how many bonspiels he's been to, but he's already playing in a regional competition of this nature, which is great.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Well, for the clubs coming from Southern California, it's a pretty easy drive across. It's about 5.5, 6 hours.
Yeah.
From NoCal, though, it's about 12 hours, and so mostly they would fly rather than have to experience a 12-hour drive both ways.
And the flights aren't super expensive. I mean, they're a little bit pricier than they used to be. Everything's a little bit more pricey these days. But it's nice that Coyotes is near an airport, near a hub, and so it's pretty easy to get from the airport to here. And then also to be in Tempe, the Tempe Phoenix area, there's a lot of opportunities for experiencing all the culture and culinary options that this area has to offer.
Yeah, we're literally 5 minutes drive, as long as there's not a traffic jam. 5 minutes drive from Sky Harbor Airport, and I've done that. I've actually picked somebody up who was coming in to play. I've gone over and had them back to the club 5 minutes after they stepped up out to the curb.
And you took me to the airport last time. So.
Yes, I did.
Which I definitely appreciate.
No, it's so easy. And even times when I've gone away for bonspiel, I've come and parked my car here, right, and then just Ubered over to the airport, right. And when I come back, Uber back, and it's cheap, and my car's been sitting here. Right. So this is the third now
or it's still this is the third for Team Mewers. This is actually the titular Mewers, Queen Mewers. And it looks like she's throwing a little. She threw a little weight up to try and get rid of the red that's sitting a back button, and crashes on the yellow on the top. It does open things up though. So now it looks like Malerich is going to. I think probably these teams aren't hitting right now, so I wonder if they would come into the house, like top 8, like just bite the top 8. But it looks like he might want to. It looks like they're going to try to sort of semi-split the house. What do you think?
Well, I mean, that's that last shot that removed the guard, but it actually put 2 rocks off to the side, right, for them, and left the shot rock wide open. It's almost like it was reversed, that the team with hammer is in the center and the team without hammer is on the sides. So. And
this is sailing a little bit more than I think they wanted.
It's not protecting their shot rocks. So.
No, I think they wanted to semi-split the house. They're looking to try and store 2, and I guess that makes sense because they have the hammer, they had an extra rock to kind of use at this point, and so I think they wanted to get around cover, and then if Mewers hit out the shot stone, then it can be like a hitting game, but they would still sit 2 when it's all said and done if everyone makes their shots.
Yes.
Which is a challenge.
Yep.
But I think that might be the thinking that was going through there. I was thinking to go into the center just because like the teams aren't hitting super great as of yet. But that shot rock right behind back button is a pretty tempting target for Queen Mewers. She's been curling for 3 years, since June of 2019. She was the champion of the 2021 Holiday Bonspiel 5 and Under division at the late Southern California Curling Center, playing a second. She was also here at Coyotes in last year for the Superheroes Bonspiel, the 5 and Under that you guys put on. And she actually won that as a skip. So she got her ticket punched to the 5 and Under Nationals, I believe. Okay, so this is takeout weight. It looks really close.
Check it out.
It might hit the red in the back.
And yes.
It does get both.
Got the double.
That's a good shot.
Yep.
So I was saying they're not throwing takeouts. That was the takeout.
Yeah.
And we were chatting, and I've kind of said, when describing kind of the style of how we do these broadcasts, it is like we're in the warm room, like we literally are, and we're just kind of behind the glass, watching the shots come down, talking about what they might be doing on the ice, and kind of shooting the shit about other stuff that comes up. So I definitely appreciate having you here for the conversation.
My pleasure.
And it looks like here, Melissa Wheeler, I think they're going to try and draw around again. This one's going to be more down the center, it looks like. Her first shot was a little heavy. This one is pretty close to on the money. However, the person playing 4th for Team Mewers, and I'm looking to see who that is. That'd be Alex Eaton Salners. I think that he can hit that, and also Mewers just threw that, so it seems like that would be a pretty easy hit for Team Mewers to take on. And this is Alex's shots. He's been curling since 2019. Events included being a 5 and Under division winner at the 2021 Hollywood Curling Holiday Bonspiel. And this, the takeout is made and the shooter sits around. So it is now Mewers sitting 3, and Malerich is in a bit of a jam here. Definitely looks like the force is on. I don't see any way they can really get 2, and they'd really have to work to make sure they don't get stolen again, stolen on.
Yeah, I think Malerich will be forced to take 1.
Given the ice that they have the broom on, do you think they're going to try for like a slight hit and roll, maybe to change up the angles a little bit?
It depends on the weight they're coming down. If they're coming down with normal weight, then it's not going to curl that much.
The broom is almost right next to the rock though, and there's going to be some curl even if you unless you throw like high heat. But this is Malerich's first here with the hammer here in the second. The weight is up. It is it's actually hanging out a little bit, so you were right there, Lindsay. It's just a nose hit there. Just a slight roll. Mm-hmm. I think they were hoping for a little bit more roll.
A little more curl.
Yeah.
Yep.
But again, Mewers can hit. They're just trading hits, and at the end, Malerich's is going to have one. Not the worst outcome to be forced. It means it's a tie game, and also Malerich has control of the even ends with the hammer. So not a bad outcome. Although ideally you want to have two whenever you have the hammer, and this is going to be a hit. It's probably going to roll. Oh, it sat down really quickly. I thought it was going to roll a little bit more. So this is a part of the ice they haven't done a hit on, so I don't know if they'd want to try and draw to the forefoot. It really depends on what the stick wants to do, I would think. Either to draw or to hit. What do you think?
I don't know. They're discussing the results of that last shot. I think that Wheeler might have touched the stone with her broom that caused the stop. So then it's up to the non-offending skip to decide where he or she thinks that rock would have ended up.
Right, and they could also just leave it as it came to stop.
That's right, yeah, exactly.
And so in this case, they're just leaving it, which makes sense.
Yeah.
I got it. And I'm never playing picture with him ever. Don't forget that. Oh, yeah. Don't play charades with that. Yeah, charades. We're sure on the file.
Oh, goodness gracious. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize about the scoreboard. I was doing it on the fly, and I will fix it. Thank you, Mikhail, for pointing that out. We're doing a lot of stuff on the fly here. It works really well, but sometimes we make a goof, and I apologize. It is Mewers with the yellow rocks and the 1 point lead. And Malerich with red. Oops. Goodness. So while I was fixing that, it looks like Malerich threw his last rock, and it looks to be a steal of 2. So that's the downside of doing the takeout there, because the shooter can roll, and that's what happened, unfortunately. What did you see there?
I didn't.
Sorry. It's all good. Again, we're doing this on the fly, and I think we have the score updated. It is Mewers with the yellow rocks and the 3 point lead over Malerich with the red rocks. We're heading into third end, and we'll be back to our feature sheet in just a moment. But let's take a look at sheet B, the other game between Team Chen of Hollywood and Team Stephanie of Wine Country. What sort of score are you seeing over there?
Well, at this point, only their first end is posted, or maybe their second end, but I can't see the scoreboard yet.
So while we're trying to look at the scoreboard, I can let you guys know that the scores are posted on bondspieler.com. It's bondspieler.com, your source for all your curling scoreboard needs.
Yeah.
So it looks like the yellow team scored 1 in the first. That would be Team Stephanie, or is it the second?
First.
First.
They haven't hung the score for N2 yet.
Yes. So we'll keep you updated as we go along, as rocks are underway in the third end here on our feature sheet, as Kira Manayan throws her first rock of the end. Kira started curling last year, and she took part in the 2022 MoPac 25 and under and various bonspiels throughout the region. That 25 and under was the first that MoPac had, and it was held here at Coyotes. I was here in October, and so was Lindsay. He has probably maybe a little too much experience to take part in the 25 and under. But what do you see? I mean, what do you see when Coyotes host these events geared for players and teams with less experience than, say, the Canadians that come down here and stuff?
Well, we didn't have a lot in the way of Canadians coming down for that, right?
Well, right, but just in
So,
general, like sometimes you have like these players that either have been curling at Coyotes for years, or there's former snowbirds that now live in Arizona. That's
right.
And those players have scads of experience.
Yes.
Versus newer players like like we see Kira, we see Darren here with a year or two of experience.
Mm-hmm. And then on the opposite end, like so you have one of our members, Fred Maxey, right, who in his younger years actually curled in the Briar, right? But he's lived here for most of his life now.
But just in terms of seeing these newer players and kind of the new generation of curlers coming on, and especially to have them here on the sides for these tournaments, like the 5 and unders and the 25 unders.
It's very encouraging. I'm very happy with the growth that we've had in the past year. A lot of new people that have taken up the sport, right? A younger, less gray-haired crowd joining us because we know that a decade from now, I would say about a third of our players are not going to be playing. Right?
So this is Sydney Jorgensen's second rock, I believe. Yeah, Sydney's. How did you get started in the game?
When I lived in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I worked at a place where about a third of the employees were curlers. So it was only a matter of time before I got snookered into it, as it were. And never had the benefit of having a, quote, learn to curl. It was, hey, we need somebody to sub. And I said, well, what do I do? And they said, well, come on down. And I get there, so, okay, what do I do? See what those other people doing? Yes, do that. That was it. And back then, we were doing, pretty much everybody was using the pendulum delivery.
Oh, yeah.
Where you pick up the rock, swing it back behind you, right, and swing it forward and let it drag you down the ice.
And that fell out of favor gradually over the past 20 years, really, or even 30 years, because they were moving away from it in the 80s.
And the 90s,
Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, the brooms have changed a lot in the past 30 years as well.
Yeah, when I first started curling, I never used a corn broom, but I used the horsehair brush right, on that, and that was the majority of curlers at the time were using the horsehair brush, and a few still using the corn broom or a synthetic type, right, that resembled the corn broom. Right? One that was called the beaver tail because it made this slap on the ice as it went that was really loud. Right?
Some people enjoyed the thwacka thwacka sound on the ice, right?
Brings back memories.
Although it definitely was a workout from what I hear as well.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Curling can be a more physical sport than a lot of people assume when they watch it on TV. I guess in part because the people on TV make it look super easy.
Yep. Well, they're so good at it.
Yeah. But the sweeping is where you definitely get your heart rate up, you definitely get your cardio, and then if you were doing a corn broom, you really had to pound the ice of that corn broom to have any sort of effectiveness, I think, with it.
Yeah.
And the corn brooms also lost their effectiveness really quickly too, from what I understand.
But they had an alternate advantage for some teams, is that they could junk up the ice with tiny bits of corn broom, right? And then you'd have more picked shots going on.
There was at least one tournament. This is from some oral histories and other histories where I think it was a Canadian team. I don't want to name it because I don't remember the name for sure. But basically, they went to a world event and they brought out the corn brooms for I think it was a world championship. And I don't if you heard that story before. So they brought out the corn brooms during the world championship, and like the other team from Europe was just livid. They would bring out the corn brooms, and they just basically accused the Canadian team of just dumping stuff on the ice. I just also like one of the secrets that some teams would do, and this is all oral history that I've read. They would soak their corn brooms in corn syrup or something like that. So it dries clear. And so then when they would go on the ice, the corn syrup would break off and then cause the dumping. which is kind of it's kind of antithetical to what brooms are supposed to do, because the broom started when we were playing on rivers and lakes and stuff, and
Yes.
it was just a matter of keeping the snow off the ice.
Snow and chunks of ice.
Yeah.
Yep. Get them out of the way of the path of the rock. Yep.
And they had to work really hard at it because there would be a lot of schmutz on the ice.
Yeah. Now, pretty much the days, with all the synthetic brooms, and when you're competing at this level, the fabric, right, that's on the brush heads is only one type of fabric that's allowed.
Right, and everyone here is using that fabric. It's geared to be thoroughly mediocre in quality, so that the brush fabric doesn't offer any competitive advantages. You're seeing the skill of the sweepers with these brooms.
Yep.
And the sweepers here, it looks like Queena threw her shot. It looks like, yeah, the setup definitely has Malerich chasing again. Mewers was really good about getting guards in front of the house, and I think Malerich was trying to like move the guards around, and now the center's open, and Mewers went right to the button. It looks like. And this looks to be Melissa Wheeler's first, so still, I mean, Malerich still has opportunities, but he's going to have to work for it as Wheeler delivers her first here. This looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like it's curling up a decent amount. I think they want it to curl past the face. It's not going to curl really past the face too much. It does get a little bit of a roll.
A little bit of cover.
Yeah, actually from the overhead, it looks decently covered. You know, it's a pretty high guard. It's in the 2 zone, so they can draw to it and sit shot, or they could do like maybe a heavy draw and to tap that red back and then sit open though, but
Yes.
keep the center open and keep the scoring opportunities available. So right now, I was talking about Malerich's chances. Looking at the overhead, they are sitting 2 right now. There's the shot rock on the edge of the 4-foot. The red in the back is out counting the yellow up top. So this is a Mewers, and it looks like they are going to do that heavy draw as she gets set. It's also fascinating to see, as you see more and more competitive teams, you have more teams that are very comfortable delivering with the brooms. At other levels, you see people using the delivery assistants more, the stabilizers, or I call them mean Canadians. Mean Canadians call them crutches. So, oh, this was heavy.
Yeah.
And goes through the house.
But
so
might just tap the one on the back 12. Might have delegated that to third shot.
Well, that's a good point.
It's too close to tell.
Yes, the overhead looks more yellow from the overhead. The camera that we have here from the kind of the behind the skip's shoulder view, it looks red, but I think it could be yellow. But they do have measuring devices, the most exciting measuring device in all of sports, to go out and see which one is closer. So it looks like they're just kind of, I think, drawing around here. I think if they keep it high would be the call, I think. But it needs to be touching paint, and it's not going to. I mean, it didn't need to touch paint. I think it'd be nice if they were sitting second shot for sure in the top 12. And the way it's positioned, I think it'd still be hard to get out with the shot stone and the 4-foot. But now we're in the end game. What sort of setup do you think Mewers is going for to force or to steal, and what do you think Malerich is going to do to try and get more than 2 points or 2 points or more here? Because Malerich is set up, I think, for a decent end at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mewers looks like that you're going to try to draw down to that rock in the 4-foot.
And even if they're a little wide, if they still get behind the guard that was just put up, it's still a good rock. So this is going. I don't know if it's hard to tell the weight from our camera. Looks like it's got decent weight to get into the house. It looks like it might settle in the 8 foot. Ooh, it's full 12 foot. So it looks like Malerich could nose that yellow.
Yes.
Sit 2, and then I don't really see an easy draw to the center of the button. They could draw to maybe the edge of the left edge.
Yeah.
But that would be it in terms of a draw. So if they nose, but they don't want to jam. That's the bad miss.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
Although the way Melissa Wheeler has the broom, do you think that's the shot? I think they're maybe trying to draw around the other guard.
Well, perhaps yes. I think you're right. Right? I think they're going to leave that one alone. Maybe leave that for their final shot.
Interesting. I guess that makes sense. When I'm on arena ice and I'm skipping, I definitely want to sit shot and try and hold on to the shot rock as much as possible. But what's important is having shot at the end of the hand. So his rock's underway. Jeremy Malerich's. Looks like it is the draw to the left side here. Weight.
A little heavy.
Oh, there it goes. It catches up.
And out the back.
Oh, no.
Well, no, just grabbing onto the back end of the 12 foot.
So good for third shot, I believe. Oh, it's still really close. It still might be yellow. Probably had to count that as a miss, unfortunately. Because anywhere above that would have been okay.
Yep.
Keeping it high would have been the A option.
Yes.
But now we are to the last of Mewers' stones as third Alex Eaton Salners, or fourth Rocks is throwing. So they're just, I think, going to draw. I think they're going to guard now.
Well, must have gone wide on their shot because they ended up ticking their own guard.
So the advantage to what Malerich just threw is that they did a draw. They could do a draw down a very. So they're drawing on the other side. They're doing the counterclockwise out turn, but they just threw an in turn draw. And I would think that if you throw the same draw twice, just a little bit less weight, you know the path, you know the weight.
Yes.
Going out to the swing is more of an edge factor. I mean, it's a draw. You have the full 8 foot to draw to.
That's right. Yeah, that's all they need to do. Touch the 8 foot, and they've got 2.
But I would think. I don't know. I would think to do the in turn just because they just threw it.
But it matters not if they make the shot.
Yes.
And it's looking pretty good, but they're light.
Oh goodness.
Oh no!
It's close.
Oh,
it's really close. Is it going to get there?
It did.
Oh sweet.
He did.
Just barely.
Those hard-working sweepers.
Oh wow! So after giving up a couple points to Mewers with a couple steals in the first 2 ends, Team Malerich responds with a deuce, a much-needed deuce, in the third to get back in this game 3-2 against Team Mewers. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back as our coverage continues from the 2023 MoPac Mitts Playdowns. We are back to the 2023 MoPac Mitts Playdowns, and looks like Malerich's lead. Sydney Jorgensen opened with a throwing through, so I think that's a bit of a miss, given this current score situation. But now we're seeing the first rocks coming from Kira Manayan. This one looks a little heavy. It's slowing down okay. I think it's going to touch paint. And it does end up in the top 12 in the wings. And it does seem to make sense for Mewers holding the hammer. Mewers has been a really surprising team, surprisingly good in this event. I think they upset Maxi in the first game, if I remember correctly. That was a had to remember that. And they've been fighting really hard against some of the top teams in the field. This second shot is also heavy again. Going to settle in the back 4-foot area. And so definitely bringing play into the house very, very early in this end here. We are playing 8 ends of regulation. Teams can also choose to resign early if they feel like they've had enough. Usually it's the winning teams that feel like they're okay. It's the losing teams that feel like they've had enough. The winning teams always want to keep going for some reason. This is Kira's second shot coming. So 8 ends, we have 1 minute breaks between each end, aside from the 4th end where we take a 5-minute break, where we have the All-Star halftime show. This halftime show is going to be an open mic session. People have been signing up to perform on the ice, about 2 minutes each. And we're not going to be broadcasting that because we want to spare people from the pain of having to watch an open mic session. So we'll just take a break during that time. And then also teams get a 90-second timeout. At any point during the game, it's only 1 timeout per team. As Kevin throws his first, it looks like Mewers' second yellow just kind of settled on the 4-foot for shot. Looks like Jorgensen's going to follow them down. This looks a little heavy again. Oh, it's slowing down pretty nicely, actually.
Yep. And provides pretty good cover for their shot in the back 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Yellowstone is still shot rock, I think.
Yes. Although from the overhead, it looks a little bit closer than it does on the this over-the-shoulder view that we have. This is David Hernandez's first here. Looks like he's throwing up weights. The rock's in the house, so they can throw takeouts at this point. If the rock was in front of the house, it'd be a guard, and you can't remove an opposing stone for the first 5 rocks of any end. This is going to get one of the reds moving. Shooter's going to roll to the wings. So it looks like it's Mewers sitting 1, 3, 4, and Malerich is sitting second. And it looks like Malerich wants to make a play for that shot stone on the left side with just a draw tap, I believe, a heavy draw to just tap the yellow back a couple feet. And Kevin's shot's underway. So yeah, definitely it looks like a little bit more weight than last time. It needs to curl up. This could be actually not too bad actually.
Okay.
So just a little wide on the ice. I think the weight was pretty good. It just didn't curl up, and it looks like it used the red for backing ultimately, and so it's now red sitting shot. But Mewers is right there, and they're still higher up in the house than the Reds. So Mewers could if they're being super daring, like kind of run the yellow back onto the reds. I think they're still. I think they're just going to try and take out on the other side though. With Hernandez the second. Looks like a lot of weight coming here. Looks really close. Does he have it? He's got one. He chips out one. He chips out the shot rock. So we're kind of back to the same situation that we were.
Yep, that's right. 2 rocks down, 2 rocks further played, and we're back again to where we were before.
Which is not a bad outcome.
No.
And also the yellow is more open now, so Malerich can make a direct play on that yellow rock and not have as great a chance of jamming. As Melissa Wheeler gets set in the hack. Melissa Wheeler's been curling since 2015. She was at the 2022 Curling Arena Nationals, finished 4th as skip. MoPac, our region, had 4 teams at Arena Nationals, which was really exciting. We had 2 teams finish 4th. We had 1 team finish, 2 teams finish 3rd. Oh my goodness, and that's a miss.
She missed the shot. She turned it in a little bit, and it went through the house.
Oh my goodness. Obviously, the shot was wide, but I thought they were going to do the clockwise in turn and approach the shot stone that way. And if that was the case, then it went really wide.
Well, I was watching her release, and I think I saw her turn her wrist over, right, which caused it to start moving.
Kind of float out.
Yep.
Yeah, that's something I've had to work on. And when I was here last time, a lot of our team was kind of we had another skip, and he was saying that we were pinching our release a lot, which I guess is also another common thing. That was a good takeout there by Mewers. So now it's all yellow in the house. That is a scary situation now for Malerich. Although Malerich has 3 rocks to improve his fortunes. It looks like Malerich might be drawing to the yellow in the back 4.
Yeah, a nice shot would be to freeze against that one in the back. But then yellow can come and freeze to that too.
Yeah. At the same time, it does narrow the scoring area, and if there's a way to kind of lock a red in there, it definitely makes it much harder for Mewers to get the rock out. This is actually a hit.
Yep.
Let's see what's going on here. There we go. our production string froze. So he made a hit, and it looks like Mewers is just going to follow them down. With a hit of their own.
Nice.
The hit's made.
Perfect shot.
Yeah. It does set up a double. Also, if Malerich was, not in a hitting mood, he could try the freeze on the back 4, and then it'd be really hard for Mewers to get to that. I don't think he can hit his way out of here, really. I mean, especially if he misses. But they are setting up the double. If they do make the double, it does. I mean, at that point, he's essentially conceding at least 2, I think. I mean, he could be. I mean, I don't. If he doubles out and he's sitting shot but open, all Mewers needs to do is just hit him out at the end of the end, and they're scoring 3.
Yep.
What would you do to maybe cut down on the damage in this situation?
I'd be freezing against that one on the back 4.
Yeah. His shots away. I mean, another possibility, depending on how much heat he has here. They are doing the double. I was thinking they could do like a soft hit and just tap it back, but they just did the 1. They are sitting shots, but Mewers can hit them out. There is a risk of a jam depending on where it hits. Although they basically just need to hit it. They can't hit it on the nose, and they really can't hit it on the right side from the person as they deliver it from the hatch or from this view. They can't hit it. If they hit it on the left side from this view, that would be the shot, I think, for Alex's. Definitely trying to find a way to not jam. Hernandez is really going at it. Needs to make sure it curls up okay. Looks like hits it on the right side, and it just chips the red out. So again, we're back to where we were 2 stones ago. Yeah. Not a bad outcome if you're Mewers. Malerich has some work to do. And speaking of having some work to do on sheet B, we have a measure going on. The game on sheet B is between Team Chen of Hollywood and Team Stephanie of Wine Country. After 3 ends, they're all tied at 2. We'll see what happens with that measure as Malerich gets set here for his last. They're looking for the hit. This is I'm really doubting how effective this takeout is going to be here. Looks like they're going to hit. Oh no, they barely touched the yellow. Shooter rolls out. The one yellow rolls out, but
now it's a draw for 4. Easy draw for 4.
Just need to touch paint for 4. Yeah. Yep. Just maybe not the optimal outcome.
Say on Malerich's last shot, I've been looking at doing a draw and try to come down and freeze to this yellow rock in the back of the 4-foot, cutting them down. It'd be hard to remove. They'll give up a lot on this.
Yeah. It was a high risk pair of shots there, and also like teams have different approaches. They might be seeing things on the ice that we're not. So always take what we say here in the warm room with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And also every person behind the glass is a 4-star skipper.
Absolutely, absolutely.
When they're on the ice, is a totally different story. All they need to do is touch paint. The sweepers are just cleaning it now. They're off, and it's just gonna go right to the looks like 4-foot, 4-4. So really solid end for Mewers, taking a commanding 7-2 lead, a 5-point lead over Malerich as they take a break. We're going to take a break with them as both sheets are on a break right now. So we'll be back in a moment when we return to the 2023 MoPac Mixed Playdowns, coming to you live from Coyotes Curling Club. This broadcast is presented by authority of the Mountain Pacific Curling Association and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Mountain Pacific Curling Association. Enjoy the halftime show, folks. We'll be right back. All right, we are back to the 2023 MoPac Mitts Playdowns. This draw between Team Mewers and Team Malerich of Silicon Valley. Right now, it's been I don't want to say it's been all Mewers, but it's been very heavily Mewers, especially the 4 spot that they took in the fourth end there. I'm now joined, thanks to Lindsay from Coyotes for joining me in the first half. The second half, we now have Sean Tate.
Yep.
One of the ice techs here. Are you the head ice tech or
Yes,
the?
I am the head. I'm the head guy. That big salary I take in as a volunteer. Yep.
So why don't you maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself? I'm going to adjust the cameras or adjust something real quick, but I'll be right back. So just if you want to talk about yourself, I'll be right back. So.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Canada. I started curling 20 years ago when Coyotes Curling Club was first formed, and where we curled out of hockey rink for 10 plus years before finally building this place, and been curling since. So.
Terrific. So you were in Canada. Where in Canada again were you?
Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we moved down here when I was 8 years old, though, so I grew up here in Phoenix.
Oh, goodness. All right, I might have to make another camera adjustment. So Mewers is playing with the Yellow Rocks here, and as has been pretty common so far in this game, it's been a lot of yellow in the house and around the house to start. What have you been paying attention to a lot of this game so far? What are your thoughts?
I haven't seen a lot of it, except for my pack repair that I had to do. Oh, I'm being told they can't hear me very well.
Oh, okay. So what sometimes people do, and we can do it like this, is that you can take the mic off and just kind of maybe rest it on here, like a mic stand. Just let it talk naturally.
There you go.
Yeah.
How's that?
Hopefully it works better.
Hopefully it's better.
So, yeah, you were out for the hack repair. What exactly happened there?
When one of the players slid out, looks like the hack kind of popped out, and they were dragging it on their back foot for about a third of the way down the ice. So just went and cleaned them out and reset the hack, and it's working just fine now.
So what part of the hack was it? Was it the rubber part that came off, or?
No, the hacks that we have here are removable. So it's the whole. There's the rubber part, and then there's a white.
Right. The
base
kind of
to
the
it
mounting block.
With the mounting block. So the whole thing popped out. So we reset it, and.
So he was driving the entire thing.
Yeah, he had the whole thing, I guess, underneath his foot.
Goodness.
Yep.
Looks like Hernandez there put up a medium guard, helping to block some of the draw pass to the button there. Kevin Jorgensen's going to respond by taking, I think, trying to run back the red guard into the house.
Yep.
Yes, we got some slow motion coming on here. And then fast motion. It does tick the guard, and it also. Yeah. The shooter rolls to the wing, though.
Rolls to the wing, and now Yellow's just going to put that guard back up, or they could hit and sit 3. Most likely play the guard.
So net strap coming from Hernandez. They are set up for the guard. And I'm going to tweak again the receiver. One camera is working really well today, the other is not. So,
still looking for a medium guard.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna tweak the receiver. I'll be right back.
A little lighter than they wanted, so red can either draw down around and tap that one. Looks like they have access to it.
So you yourself are a top skip. You were at the men's club playdowns, and you were in the final.
I'm already getting grief from the people in the warm room about that comment.
Yeah, where am I? I'm missing this person.
Nice shot there. Tap back.
So I mean, so you were at a MoPac event.
Yes.
You made it to the final. So
Yep.
what was how was that experience like to be in that run?
It's a lot of fun. It's the second time as a skip I've played in that game, and the team played well the whole weekend. Had a couple off ends there at the end, unfortunately, of the championship game, but we played really well, and just waiting to hear on a possible second berth for our region to go to nationals, in which case we would be headed there along with Team McBride.
And Team McBride, what were your thoughts about McBride? Because they really had a super strong run.
They did. They played really well all weekend, which is a little, I always expect good things out of them. They're a really good team, but they'd also lost their ice, so I don't really know how much ice time all those guys had leading up to Playdowns. But yeah, they played really well all weekend. Had a really good playoff run as well. I mean, they played Siggins, who is the #1 ranked team, and had won the club nationals twice in a row. They beat them in the semifinals, and then they beat us in the finals.
Yeah, and that was a really exciting game too. We were able to watch the end of it on our live stream.
Oh, did it go over there? Because I know that the women's game was the feature game.
It was
the finals draw, but yeah.
Yeah, so we were able to use the overhead cameras that Bay Area Curling had,
Oh, nice.
and then show kind of the last end and a half, I believe.
Would have hoped for a different outcome in those last couple
sure.
runs, but we played them tough, and it was a good game. So.
This
Like
rock
they were
from Middle
trying
Silver.
to draw in there, but wrecked on the guard.
Yeah. So if you're
They were
Malerich,
actually trying to make the hit.
yeah.
Couldn't see the yellow there. So
If you're Malerich, what would you do in this situation? I mean, especially since Mewers is sitting 2 yellows in the 8-foot there.
yeah, they've got a couple options. They can keep trying to play the hit. If they throw the guard, if the guard's missed, they can take it out. They always do have the draw path on the other side to come in around as well.
And I don't know if you saw the end of the fourth end where Malerich is trying to double out Mewers, but Mewers is sitting 3 or 4.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's never a fun situation to be
Yeah,
thrown against.
yeah, and they did not have the hammer, and so they were able to chip out one of the yellows. So but I think the shooter also rolled out, and so Mewers was sitting 3, and all they had to do was draw for 4.
Oh, okay.
So it was.
It's always nice to have the open draw for 4.
It's always super nice when that happens.
So it looks like they're playing the guard here.
Her rock's underway.
Just got to make sure it crawls past that guard that's up there.
It is around the guard,
Yep.
and we have bodies everywhere where the stone is. But it turns out, it's a good guard.
It's a good guard, so they're just going to play the draw around at this point. It does look like it is slightly open. They might have access to try and make that double if they really wanted to, but it looks like they're going to just play the draw.
I think the doubles have been tricky for them in this game, so I think the draw is definitely maybe the higher percentage
Probably.
make here. Also, like, teams have a minute between ends. Like, how did you use that time, and are you used to trying to just having that solid minute to maybe reflect and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, obviously in league play we don't have the minute, but you usually get together just for a brief second, so it's nice to have that minute to sort of talk about what happened in the prior end, how the game's going, and what we want to do, how we want to start the next end. If you score and you're throwing first, do you want to start with a guard, or do you want to bring the rock into the house and play that way? Or if the other team has first rock, you look at what they're going to do and say, okay, do we want to play a corner guard here, or do we, if they put the center up, do we just come around and force everything into the middle, even though we have hammer? So you just take a few seconds to go over that really quickly, and then get ready for the next end.
So this rock coming from 4th, the vice skip, Alex Eaton Salners. One thing I saw in his bio, which is I think really fascinating because it's so rare in the sport, he had an 8-ender
Nice.
at Southern California Curling Center during Hollywood Curling's Fall Sunday Features League, and that was back in October 2021.
Very nice. Those are pretty rare. We've had, I want to say we've had 2, maybe 3 at this club.
In almost 10 years?
Well, actually, I think we had one back at the old hockey rink that we played at, and then I think we've had 1, maybe 2 more here. So, yeah.
Were you
They don't
involved in
come-
any of those?
No. Luckily I was not on the receiving end of either of those, but I was definitely not on the team that scored the 8-ender. So.
That's a pretty messy house here.
Yeah.
A diamond. It's not quite a Christmas tree. It's
Yeah.
a diamond up front.
I joked with Fred Maxey yesterday when they took 7 in an end, and I said, okay, so who messed up and didn't have their rock in the house?
Even 7-enders are not common.
No. Yeah, you need some unlucky breaks by the other team and some misses.
And I know during the club playdowns, I was joking about scoring a 6-ender and calling them Montoyas.
Yeah, there you go.
In reference to Inigo Montoya, who was looking for a 6-fingered man.
Yeah.
It was not Montoya that had the 6 fingers.
Good Princess Bride reference.
Indeed. Although it was also nice talking to people. It's like, have you seen Princess Bride? It's like, no. It's like, you need to watch Princess Bride. As part of our MoPac movie night, we'll have a screening of Men with Brooms and Princess Bride. So they finally did the draw.
Playing the draw. Looks like they have access to it, and they're going to try and come around probably with like hack to board weight. Oh, just going a little wider.
Well, also, if you're Mewers, all you really need to do is force, and because they're sitting with a 5-point lead right now. So even holding Malerich to 1 would be, I think, a positive.
Yep.
Now, I know when people are learning curling strategy, they often talk about having a game plan for the entire game, and of course, being able to adapt on the fly. But in between ends,
Yep.
taking that moment, that minute, when you have that minute in regulation in a game like this, to discuss like what do we want to do for this end.
Yep.
Does that also is that also part of how you execute your game plan?
Oh yeah, for sure. We we have kind of a general plan going in, and then as the game goes on, you've got to make adjustments to it or stick with it. If it's working, stick with it. If it's not, or if you're behind and you need points, you got to play it a little differently. Like our team tends to play more towards the middle of the house. Come in to the forefoot with our first rock or draw around if they throw up the guard. Whereas other teams, they like to play in the corner guards, but if you're down, then you got to switch that strategy up and start playing the corner. So everybody's got to be on the same page. Aware of what's happening and what the situation is. So.
And there's only so much you can do during a game. Like if someone's not hitting broom, you can't really say change your delivery so you hit broom.
No, yeah, you can change strategy, but
Kind of have to work with the skill set that you had coming into the game.
Exactly.
So it looks like Eaton Salners was a smidge heavy with his last. It only kissed the red and it pushed it closer to the button.
Yep.
And so now Malerich has 1 in hand and has a chance to score 2.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to draw another one in and take their 2, and because I believe this is last rock here.
Yes. So here it is, last rock.
Need
Jeremy Malerich, chance for 2 to get his way back into this game.
Full 8 foot, it looks like.
Yeah.
If they get down to their own, they should be 1 and 2.
It's tough though because if they hit on the inside, I think they can get the 2. As the ruck comes down here, it can't be light though. It can't be light. Melissa Wheeler jumps in on the sweeping here, and oh goodness me, it's going to be a little light. So just the 1 for Malerich. So just a chance to get a 2 to get ever so closer back in this game, and just another missed opportunity. Also, a lot of people talked about missing on the wrong side, or
Yep.
missing on the right side. Sorry, you don't want to miss on the wrong side. You want to miss on the right side.
On the right side, yep. That's something we talk about too. Where's the miss? Sometimes the miss is light. Sometimes the miss is heavy. It's you don't want to think about that. You want to concentrate on what the exact shot is. But as long as your sweepers know which is better, you know, so they know if the miss is light and they don't think it's going to get there, then they can back off and keep it there, keep it light. So yeah, as long as everyone knows where the shot needs to be and where the miss is.
Well, when I'm throwing rocks, I like to know what the tolerance is.
Yeah.
I mean, not, you know, obviously focus on trying to make the shot, have the weight dialed in, but it's, if you know like the tolerance is to be light or heavy, it's like, okay, that's where I'm going to try and err if I do err.
Yeah.
And in this case, I think the miss was to be a smidge heavy.
Yeah, because I think if he'd come down and even if he just tapped his own, they still would have counted too. But you can't be light there.
And that's tough as a skip too, because like when you're a skip, either you make the shot or you don't.
Right.
In that case, unfortunately, it was a miss. But we have rocks underway. This is Sydney Jorgensen's first here as it goes down the ice. This looks to be a little heavy.
Yep. They need rocks out front. Lots of guards and kind of mess things up a little bit.
At least it stuck around. I think she threw through with one of her rocks.
Yeah. So they're just going to take this out and keep the house nice and clean.
I noticed the other thing worth noting is that these teams, well, Hollywood was on dedicated ice, but now they don't have any ice at all, unfortunately. Hopefully they get ice soon.
Yep.
But you know, coming from arena ice to dedicated ice, there's, you know, dedicated ice is great ice, but it's also less forgiving, shall we say?
Yes. Yep. Less forgiving, and you know, with arena ice, you never know what you're going to get each night. Plus, most arena clubs, you only have the one night, whereas you know, we're lucky here to have the club we do and be able to come out and practice more often, play more often. I mean, we have leagues every night, and multiple people play in multiple leagues, so
well, also
lots of ice time.
There's also just a great opportunity where it's like, hey, can I like jump in as a sub on a game?
Yeah.
And like for arena nights, it's that only 1 or 2 nights a week.
Yep.
And for a club like Coyotes, you know, it's like, oh, it's almost any night, or like you guys might have open practice ice at times and stuff.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And that's something that you don't have in arena clubs because the hockey arena wants to sell hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
Hockey time.
They make more money off the hockey ice, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We did that for 10 years. We had Saturday nights at 9 p.m. was our league night, and later on, after a couple of years, we added in a Friday afternoon league. We were able to do that, but yeah.
And so for you, what was it like? So you started on arena ice here because the club was on arena ice, and you moved to dedicated ice. What was that like in terms of that transition?
I just noticed how much better everybody got very quickly. You know, the fact that we went from playing once a night, like I just said, to playing several nights and having practice and stuff, and just being able to get that ice time. I noticed how quickly the players in our club got better. And even the new curlers that we have coming out, their ability increases quite rapidly, way quicker than the new curlers did when we were on arena ice.
And then also about the club culture, because I was talking with Lindsay, you know, you have this center where people can congregate more than the arena, because also at the arena a lot of times like, oh, our time is done, we need to leave now.
Yeah. So they are sitting one, and I didn't see if they called I assume they called a guard here.
Based on where they're sweeping and the fact they had, looks like Jeremy came out to help. Normally, how does your front end think? How does your front end think when you come out to help sweep?
I'm usually there for moral support as a third sweeper, but you know, sometimes depending on if you need it to curl or stay straight, the skip can jump out, and then one of the people can move off, so you have 2 people sweeping it that same way to try and help with those.
This is David Hernandez throwing second here. I think looking to get around the high guard and just chip out the red that's shot now on the 4-foot.
Yeah.
This looks like it's hanging out, so I think they might clip the red if they're lucky. If they're lucky, it's hanging out. They do clip the red.
Clip it, but did not move it enough, so red's still sitting one there.
So now for Malerich, I think he's going more not totally pot committed, but just definitely trying to be more offensive here because he needs to generate points.
Yeah, he's got to get those rocks in play. So he's playing another draw, probably around, try and get under cover or even partially under cover is good here, around the 8 foot.
This looks a little on the heavy side though.
Yeah, sweepers are just walking it in.
Yeah, so they wanted to keep it high.
Yeah.
There is a double possibility.
Yeah. Still in a good spot there because it can also, if they hit it the other way, the jam is there. It's partially undercover.
Yeah.
So always brings that guard into play a little bit.
This is still relatively early in the end. This is still seconds rocks, so it's also fascinating. I don't know if you follow like the daily curling puzzle on Facebook.
I do not. I've done it a few times, but I don't do it very often.
But they also talked about it's this end. It's your seconds rocks. It's like, oh. Why are we worrying about strategy for second rocks? Because I also kind of think that we kind of
A little wide here, but they are going to get the back one.
I see that, and it provides backing for the shot stone.
Yep.
So now Malerich, yes,
So
like where he's putting
put
the
another
broom.
one. You don't have to be fully undercover, but you can be partially undercover.
Yeah.
Is good around the top 8 foot there to outcount that one in the back, so you can sit 2.
Where would you want the rock to be above the shot stone? Because I feel like you don't want to create a double, and you want to maybe be in a position where if Mewers went for the double, it would jam on the back.
Right. That's why you want to be about half undercover. If you're half undercover, then the double's not really there. And it always brings the guard into play if they're trying to get it out. So this looks like it's on a pretty good line.
Looks a little
Looks
light.
a little light, yeah.
But again, if it's guarding shot rock, it's not the worst outcome. So that would be the pro side of it.
Right, right.
So that's a good adjustment if that was to throw a little heavy in your first and to throw just a little heavy. Unless I was.
So now they're going to try and start peeling the guards out and clean up the top so they have access to that shot stone.
Yeah. As we're now with third rocks, as Queen Mewers gets set in the hat. Some dynamic camera switching. We're glad to have you guys with us on the broadcast. It's always great to hear people in the chat and just letting us know what they think about what's going on. Sometimes you guys have better insight than we do. Well, than I do. I mean, I think Sean's doing great here.
Looks like they actually might make this double and get rid of the shot stone. Nope, it's just going to slide past, so that's kind of a missed opportunity there because they left the guard up. So they didn't. They still have 2 guards there, and so they can draw around, put another one in, and
that's what Malerich is going for. Would you want to try to be in a solid 8 foot to be second shot at this point?
At this point, I'd want to be at least out counting that back yellow. So if you're full 8 foot, that's a pretty good spot.
So this is a Melissa Wheeler's second. So she's the one that had the decent guard weight for first. So now she needs to make the adjustment to throw a little bit heavier.
A little bit heavier. And in this case, the tolerance would be you can be slightly heavier, because if you did come down to that shot rock and sit 2 there, that's not bad. This one looks pretty good. Just got past the guard.
Wow. Yeah, and yes, you're talking about the tolerance being a little heavy, and it looks like it's going to tap.
Yep, and that's fine. Now you've got 2 sitting on the button, and they don't really have access to the scoring area right now.
So Malerich is set up to steal, and it's Robin season for him. He needs to steal.
Yeah. Steal.
I mean, he could probably go one more end with a forest, but then he would definitely need to convert with a hammer with 2 or more.
Yeah.
But being able to steal 2 or more is also gravy for the goose, as they say.
Yeah.
Although I guess if you have goose, you want to have gravy, right?
I would think so.
Although I was watching Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives last night, that's a pretty fun show. Although Guy Fieri just loves everything he eats, which I guess is fair.
It's good for the show.
I know. Go to a dive, it's like, what did you do here? This tastes like salt. This tastes like what's the wood? The wood from the sawdust.
Sawdust.
It tastes like sawdust. So just looking to clear the guards here.
The guard's actually a little tight. She might actually make the run back here, which I don't think she wanted to.
I was going to run back onto the yellow and jam.
And still leaves those 2 guards up.
Yeah. So Malerich, they have a path here. It's now
Yep.
skip stones. So he could do the same path that Wheeler just took. Maybe
Yep.
a smidge more ice because her shot was very close
It was.
to the guard.
But the guards moved over
Oh, that's
a
a
bit
good point.
on that one, but you still don't want to, you probably want this one, again, in that same spot we were talking about before where you go top 8.
Yeah. So Malerich here with a really huge opportunity. The pendulum is kind of
It
tilting the
is.
other way now.
Yep. Yeah, they're in a good spot to steal 1 or 2 here.
It's also just a matter of getting, it's going to be very difficult for Mewers to move those shot stones.
It is, because you have to sort of draw weight to get around those guards to get at them, which means they're not going to move very far.
So this is Jerry Malerich's first here. It's also kind of crazy how the game changes, because sometimes when I'm playing a game, you can be down a bit. It's like sometimes it's like, okay, they're going to keep plugging away, and then hopefully something's going to happen here.
Yep.
And for Malerich, oh, this is a little heavy and it's hanging out.
Yeah, and at this point, you don't want to leave it T-line, but you didn't want it to go past that.
Yeah.
So.
Just a smidge heavy. The line looked good.
Yep.
Just if he threw about at least a second less weight, it would have ended up in that pile.
Yep.
Around the button. So the line was actually good. It was just the weight. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little heavy. Even if they'd been just a touch lighter and at least held around in that back 8 foot, give him another catcher.
So Alex Eaton Salners just set in the hack. It looks like they're going to try and go down to the button area.
Yeah.
Probably the same line as what Malerich just threw, just slightly less weight.
Yeah.
We're going to time this rock and see what's going on here. They jumped on it pretty early with the sweepers.
Yeah, line might be a little tight. Oh no, line's good.
Looks like the weight's just maybe a smidge on the light side. It's 14.2, so it looks like it could be top 8, especially with the sweeper they're giving it. Ooh, they got
Right
it to the
down to
pile.
it. Red's still sitting too, so.
And Malerich could draw to the back, perhaps, or like.
They got to be careful here with this draw. If they don't want to leave it in a spot where they leave a potential double or even a potential in-off to get access to.
That's a
that
good
button.
point. It looks like they're going to try to draw the other side, but most of the rocks have been on the right side of the
Yeah.
sheet. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Also, I mean, the ice hasn't been in play, so it might be a little slower.
Might be. Yeah.
When you kind of switch sides of the sheet, what kind of goes through your mind?
Oh, and you always know that when every shot goes down the same path, that one's definitely going to be faster. So you got to take that into account. One side might be slower, but they're far enough into the game that you would think, and I haven't seen much of the first half of the game, but I would assume that they've played both sides throughout the game, so it shouldn't be too much different.
14 seconds, so the weight's good.
It might be a.
If
Gotta
just a
watch,
little
they don't-
rub on the shot stone. Oh, that's beautiful.
That's pretty good right there. Yep. Now it did leave a potential double.
It would need to be that side is open from the overhead here. So if they do, are they going to be able to move both rocks enough? I guess they would try.
Well, at this point, you don't have to necessarily have both of them go away because you do have that one up top. But if you were to hit this kind of on the nose and just move those 2 reds out far enough, you could be out counting them, and red is then sitting 1. But they are they're going to the other side. It is actually mostly undercover from that angle. It always changes when you're standing there in the house looking at it. You think it's wide open, then you get down to the other end and you can't see any of it.
Here's the last shot coming from the fourth for Alex Eaton-Salners and Team Mewers. Looking for some takeout weight, it looks like.
Yeah. That's a good one there.
Looks pretty close. Going to get some reds moving.
Oh.
I think it gets one of the reds out of the way.
They did. They got one, so they did.
It looks like it was two.
Two reds.
So it did.
Steal it too.
Yep. And Malerich is ever so closer.
Yep.
Heading to the seventh. We're going to go around the rings real quick. Just around the ring. There's only one other game on the ice right now. That's the game between Team Chen from Hollywood playing the Red Rocks, I believe. Taking on Team Stephanie from Wine Country. Looks like Team Stephanie has jumped out to a 6-3 lead here in the seventh end. And they are playing the seventh right now, about halfway through. We'll keep you updated as that game progresses. In the meantime, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick pause. And we are back to the first draw of our Saturday session here at the MoPac Mixed Playdowns. It's the four-person game, not the mixed doubles game that you might be used to seeing on TV during the Olympics. This is the seventh end here of a game between Team Malerich of Silicon Valley and Team Mewers. Mewers, built a pretty strong lead, but Malerich has been trying to claw his way back here. There's only two ends left, so what do you think the strategy is for Malerich? Where they try and force and then try and steal three to at least have a tie?
I think at this point you don't want to be down three. So at this point you're looking to try and steal a steal. So you kind of got to go all in. Probably throw up two center guards, double them up so that they're harder to take out, and then bring the play into the middle and try and steal in both ends.
And so I guess, that definitely makes a lot of sense, because if you steal two here or steal one and then steal two in the eighth, then it's tied, and then hopefully still the extra end. In this situation, ultimately though, I guess, forcing the other team to one is probably not too bad, but you don't want to give up a deuce here.
Yeah, you can't give up a deuce. To be down four and trying to take four in that last end, it's a lot tougher. So down three, while still not easy, is doable. They can't give up two here.
And this is Akira Manayan's second shot here, going around the center guards.
So trying to beat them to it.
The weight's pretty good actually. It may have not needed to sweep it as much.
You just come down. At this point, you don't necessarily have to move it. You can just freeze to it. It's still early in the end where the freeze is good. A little taps not going to hurt you either.
And the more rocks in play largely benefits Malerich.
Right.
There are situations where the more rocks in play increases the chance of it going horribly awry the other way.
Yeah.
But if you need to score points, you need rocks in play. So this drawing in, sitting.
Yeah, see, this is a little heavy, so it's going to tap it and roll open. So they've got access to it.
Yeah. So it's almost game on for Team Mewers because they can hit that, and then if they did a nice, they can probably roll. They're looking to try and roll under the cover on the left side, it looks like. But really game on because they have 2 in the house, sitting second and third shots for David Hernandez's first, I believe.
And they got to be careful if they're rolling under, they don't put it in a position where a freeze blocks them off. So hitting and rolling actually to the open side is not a bad shot at all here.
Yeah.
Which looks like that's what's going to happen. Just a tiny roll out.
Yeah.
Keeps it on the open. It forces your opponent to then make a hit and roll in, which is more difficult than a straight draw would be. So.
This is Jordan's second. So if he just throws so he's been throwing a little heavy. So if he just throws just a little bit more, I think would have a nice hit and roll weight.
Looks like the weights here. See how the line is. Boom, roll over, nice double there. And it's under cover, but you still have access to the button there. But really nice shot there.
So now Team Mewers is just kind of looking to draw around the cover. There's space for them to be shots.
Yep.
So I was talking about how much colder it is on the other side by the cooler. I think that's somewhat partially responsible for the performance. I know our transmitters are not necessarily the best through glass too, but what's the temperature difference between the away side, the side that they're playing towards, and the home side where we are in the warm room?
They are pretty close in temperature, and being as I'm the ice maker, I have a app for that.
I figured you were the guy to ask.
We have sensors throughout the room telling us what it is, but right now there's about a half a degree difference.
It just feels so much colder down there. I just also because there's no warm room, so there's no visible warmth to see on that side, perhaps. So let's blame it on the transmitters then. Also, I know we were talking before the tournament started. I don't know if people can really see, but the ice, it looks like there's speckles. Looks like maybe French vanilla ice. Shall we say?
Yeah, we had a little bit of excitement over the Christmas break, where kind of a calamity of issues all at the same time, where our plant went down on us, and unfortunately at the exact same time the company that sends our alerts had a server issue, and so we never got alerts, so it was melting for a couple of days before someone came in, and I got a text message saying, "Did you know the ice is melting?" No, I did not. But luckily we were able to get the rocks off the ice and get the problem fixed, and after a couple of days we went out and we scraped it and sealed it back in, and then did several floods, and we're able to play. So it's playing pretty good right now too.
So yeah, with the appearances though, so the French vanilla look is basically the paint's been affected.
Right, the layer of paint that's well below the playing surface of the ice got affected by it, and so it kind of separates the paint. And the unfortunate part is that'll continue that way as the season goes on. But it doesn't affect the playing surface at this point, since we were, like I said, we were able to scrape all the stuff that came to the surface and then seal it all in, and then do several floods.
Well, also snow leopard.
Yeah, so I've heard snow leopard, Italian marble. We do have a tile place next door to us, so we got inspiration from a countertop.
Well, my thinking, I don't necessarily think this is exactly what happens, but there's the adage that water follows the path of least resistance.
Right.
And so seeing where the perforations are in the paint, basically it's like the water kind of found.
Yeah, it's going
way.
to find any little thing it can, and so.
So here, again, opportunity is boiling for Malerich.
Yeah,
oh,
unfortunately they wrecked on the guard, and I think that opens up the path for a possible double by yellow here.
Yes.
Well, no, it still looks like it might be partially undercover, but I mean, even at this point, if yellow just comes down to that one, is able to tap it back, sit shot, it's going to be pretty tough for red to then remove that out.
So Alex has the broom for a takeout for his skip, Queen of Mewers.
And it does look like there is there's enough room there that the red that's on the buttons on the center line and that guard's about a rock over, so there should be enough room to get by it. And
which rock would you want to hit? The one that's on the button or the one that's on the left of the forefoot?
You need to hit the one that's that's sitting on the button. Now I don't know if the double is there. It's hard to tell if the angle's right, but
lots of weight coming.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's on it. Sweepers, I think, are trying to hold the line as Hernandez is going hard. It's going to cross the face.
By the one, it looks like they're going to
Just
tap
them all
it.
moving.
They got them both, but still left red sitting one. Undercover, so red's got the...
That was a good shot.
Yeah, it was. It was a very good attempt.
And also, that's a very lone red in the house.
It is.
But they, for Malerich, they can put a red, I think, full 12 foot. Looking at the overhead here, they put a red full 12 foot. It'll be hard for Mewers to get access to the button. Or would you want them to go undercover, perhaps?
At this point, since they're trying to steal, they need to get it somewhat undercover.
Yeah.
So there is 3 guards there on the one side, so you can just draw underneath those and get. If you're touching the forefoot, it's pretty good. It makes it hard to access that because of that red guard. That lonely red guard that's on the right there.
So also, it looks like, in terms of not having the hammer, Malerich has done a really good job of controlling the front and the center of the playing area.
Yep, and that's what they needed to do in order to even have a chance to try and steal this here.
This looks maybe a smidge heavy, and it's maybe a little bit... Oh, it's way heavy. It's probably going to go through.
Yeah.
Oh, man, a missed opportunity there. That's the game, though.
It is. It is. Now yellow has that same shot to draw into that same area and get there first.
So let's see who has their draw weight dialed in, I guess is the question.
Yep.
As Alex...
whoever can get there first.
Yeah. Because also... so if Mewers makes their shots, what do you think Malerich should do to respond?
If they made it exactly where they wanted to, where it's undercover, then they have a couple options. They can try and peel the guards out of the way, or they can try and come down to it and tap it, and sit to outcount it. This looks
a little wide.
Looks like it's on a good path. It's curling, but it looks like it might be a little light. Yeah, a little light there. So
Malerich, we've tried to discuss. It seems like a timeout is called, and they got the timeout button going. Sweet.
Yep. So they're going to discuss this one, and so now they either can. The way that yellow finished, I'm not sure there's a draw there anymore on that side, so they might have to come around the other side with a draw.
Yeah.
Or they do have that single red on the other side that they could tap in.
And that has the advantage of also preventing yellow from doing the run back of their own.
Right.
So, I mean, they're not without options. There's not necessarily an easy shot.
No.
But there's 3 options, it looks like, perhaps. They could also they could if they do the raise of the red on the right here, and the miss would be maybe to I take that, they could try and draw first to be 8 foot, and then the miss would be to raise their red.
Yep,
And
they
then-
could try that. I
and
don't
that-
know if there's enough room there to draw around, so I think you're always playing the tap. You just
Okay.
got to watch if you kind of want to tap it, not quite straight back, but you want to tap it to where your shot stone stays there as a guard as well.
Yeah.
Because if you hit it and kind of almost slash it in at an angle, then you'd leave that side open and yellow would have an open path to a draw. So looks like they are playing the tap, I believe is what they called.
Sure looks like it.
I mean, I guess the other option is they could play an in off that yellow that he's standing next to, but I think they called it for the tap.
Looks like a tap. Also, just based on how much the ice is current, if Malerich throws just slightly less than he threw his last shot, because his last shot went through the house. If he
Yep.
throws roughly the same weights, it could.
Oh no, it looks like they're playing the in off.
Okay.
Which they gotta hold the line there.
It's over curling.
Over curled and missed.
Oh my goodness. So not the worst outcome. Definitely Mewers definitely needs to earn this.
Yep. I don't think there's enough room for them to get around around those guards and get to the red. So I think they're gonna have to play the run back.
Well, if they make the run back and they're lucky, they can get 3 or
They can
4.
get 4, possibly
or-
5.
Yeah. So this could be the game here as well. But technical timeout?
No. Oh. I think they want a regular timeout. Or. Oh no.
The other skip also gave a signal, so.
You might be needed there. It was technical.
Well, we'll see if it's unofficial or if it's. Oh, it looks like they're missing a rock.
Oh, what? Oh, there's 2 sheets on the in play right now, so like maybe one of the rocks rolled over to the other sheet or something.
It did. Looks like they found it on the other sheet. Someone's trying to throw 9 rocks on sheet B.
They found it. It's on the other sheet.
So talking about stealing, someone may have stolen a rock during the game. No. Carried it off without us looking. So apparently there was a Briar, gosh, about 50 years ago where the power went out, and so they stopped play. But when the lights came on, one of the teams brought their rocks down into the house, and so it looked like they were sitting 8 or something. Things you can't do these days.
No.
So definitely, I think looking for the raise based
Yeah.
on where Tweena has the broom sets. Is that enough ice, or are they looking to?
Yeah, it's curling hard enough that should be enough ice.
His shot's away here. Let's see if he's got what it takes. This is going to be a key shot for the game here. Hernandez is really, they're both sweeping really hard. Kira and Oslo, yep, looking for the raise.
Oh,
They're
looks like it's light.
needs, ooh. Goodness.
Another steal of 1.
So Malerich
Job done.
still has a shot.
There you go. Steal another one, and then you get bonus curling.
So, Mewers, jumped up to a pretty commanding lead, but Malerich is ever so slowly clawing their way back, and they need to steal 1 to keep playing at this event. So we're going to take a minute pause, and we'll be right back to the MoPac Mixed Playdowns. So we're rejoining right now while there's a technical timeout on the ice. Just a kind of, technical timeouts are not rare, but I think it's somewhat unusual to see two technical timeouts within a few rocks of each other. This looks to be a centered guard
Yes,
issue.
we're looking to see if it's touching the center line because of the no-tick rule.
So looking at it from our side view, it looks like maybe the edge of the rock might be touching, although we have a corner.
I think I saw him shake his head no, so I think it's off the center line.
It's ever so slightly, yeah. Like from this over-the-shoulder view, it looks like the edge might have been touching, but as Stefan, our ice official, knows, it's not. So the no-tick rule is new. For when you were playing at the MoPac Club Playdowns, how often did you run into that rule, and what was your thought about it?
We actually, we didn't have a single shot where it came into play. I mean, we obviously had centerline guards, but at no point did we have any of them ticked or anything like that to where we had to reset it or anything like that, which, you know, I've seen it a bunch of times in our own league play. So
Are you guys
one
using the no-tick in your league?
So we used it in, I know we used it in our Monday night, which is our most competitive night, where a lot of those Playdowns teams play and stuff. I'm not sure about the other nights, if they're using it. I know on recreational nights and social nights are not.
And yeah, I think really for most of the leagues that are not competitive, they're not going to be using this rule.
Yeah, no.
This is Sidney Jorgensen's second rock here. It looks
This
like
one here is definitely touching the center line.
Yes, it is.
Got to make sure you sweep it there. I mean, that was definitely something you didn't think about it as much before the rule. You know, having people sweep it to make sure it touches the center line. You know, having it just off wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But now you definitely are calling people to sweep it for curl or line just to hold it and keep it on that center line.
Oh, let's see here. We might see the no-tick rule in action here.
Yep.
It ticks.
Yep. So now that rock goes back, and then the yellow is taken out of play.
Now,
Yep, so there you go. It came into play on the very first shot.
Malerich could have left the rocks as they played out.
They could have. Yes,
an
that is an alternative. If it was hit in your favor, then yeah, you can always just leave it where they wound up, or as they did here, you put everything back, and then the thrown rock is taken out of play.
So I was joking on an earlier broadcast that we should have like a fox tracks in the curling snow so they glow whenever they're on the center line.
No thanks. I grew up in Canada, big hockey fan, and that was the worst broadcast you could ever have.
I do sort of understand. I mean, obviously Foster's trying to make it like more quote unquote exciting, but obviously not. Oh, this one's going to be a bit heavy. So this was a chance for Malerich to really put the pedal down and just kind of let off a little bit by throwing some heavy.
We're through those first 5 rocks, so they're going to start peeling guards. And
David Hernandez definitely has peel weight in him. As he gets set here. You know, Malerich is still in a really solid position to try to steal. He needs to steal here.
And that's why you throw those 2 guards to make it a little tougher to get rid of everything, but this is on a really nice path. It might, over the top, did its job.
Peels the 1.
Peeled the 1, so at this point, I mean, if this was me, I think going in it's too early to go in, because you only have 1 guard. If you go in now, they peel that, and now you're just replacing it. So if it was us, we'd throw that high guard back up, make them keep peeling, and waste a couple stones before you finally go in. And
now and also putting the guard up could also be good, because like we've been saying, Kevin Jorgensen's been a little on the heavy side. So if he said throw a guard, if he's a little heavy, it goes in the house.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a bad plan B. as opposed to throwing through and losing the shooter.
Which this is.
It's carrying again. This might go to the no. It's probably going to go through again. Mewers is on it. It's going to escort it to the back here.
It's going to come down. They are sitting shot, but it's pretty open, and the whole house is available.
Oh, and now
again, this was. She's calling for the draw, but at this point you're up one. You just need an open path. So I would peel the guard again, and then that way there's no rocks out front and nothing to hide behind.
Yeah. It's always kind of a decision on when to go into the house, when to bring play into the house.
Eventually you're going to have to go in, but like I said, you go in too early, then they can just take out your one guard. So that's why I think throwing the second guard is better, and I think throwing and peeling the guard here is better, because if you're yellow, that rock in the back 12-foot shouldn't be the shot that is counting at the end of this. So, but they are going to hit it. They'll sit two, but again, they're both in the back.
So this is often a learning experience, especially for teams that are newer to this level of competition.
Yep.
And so obviously I think this is a situation where people might be learning from the situational setup and stuff, because like you're saying, they're bringing play into the house, and they really didn't need to at this point.
Right.
Looks like they on sheet B, I think they're done.
They are. They shook. I did not see who counted there at the end.
So sheet B, it was very exciting. It was a tie game through 7, and so we'll see who emerged as the winner of that game between Team Chen of Hollywood and Team Stephanie of Wine Country. So it looks like red won. And what team is that? The red team won. We can double check in a second. All right. So Team Chen pulled out a win with their last. So very exciting. A good set of morning games. We're very glad to have you with us. Hopefully you guys have your mimosas or orange juice or your oat milk to enjoy this broadcast. An oat milk shooter. On our feature sheet, it looks like Team Malerich, they drew in and they're sitting exposed, but plays now in the house, and there's not really much of a reason that I mean, I think we're going to be in the house for the rest of the game.
I think so. Yeah. At this point, that's the way they're playing. They're trying to play a hit.
This is hanging out. It might get a piece. It misses entirely. So now again, the door is open for Malerich.
Yep. Throw up another guard, start protecting, or you can. He's calling for a draw under, which is.
It's aggressive.
It's aggressive.
It also sets up a double.
Yep. Possibly.
I mean, the other possibility is maybe to throw a guard if it's a little heavy and it freezes on the shot stone.
Yeah.
But
I don't think you want those that exposed. I would. Yeah, he's either got to get one buried underneath here or play the guard. Okay. And I think for them right now, rocks out in front, guards and stuff, that's their friends.
And keeping the rocks high.
Yeah.
Because a couple of the rocks have gone deep. This one looks like it's also going to go deep. It might tap back.
They might get that roll, but no, it's going to stay open. And now
I'm going to try this here.
Looks like there's a double.
There is a double, or
just let's just start opening things up.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And are there situations where a team just has a totally different style of play than you would do?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the one thing. Every team plays a little different, and that's part of the feeling out process at the beginning of a game to see what kind of game your opponent is playing, to know where you can try and put rocks to capitalize, or where you need to put rocks in order to not have the other team be able to execute the kind of shots that they're wanting to execute. Right.
And I guess also some people kind of watch the other teams if they can to kind of get a sense of their style. Oh, yeah. And then it's like, this team really likes to do an outturn draw. We're going to do our best to deny that to them and stuff. In this case, it looks like Team Mewers is going to try to take out here. It looks like they're going to get one.
Yep, and avoids the jam at the back.
So now they're looking to draw around the guard.
They've got to come in now. Yeah, they've got to try and get one buried underneath that guard.
But the amount of ice they're asking for, I mean, that's very similar to the last draw that he did.
I think they were a little wide. I think they were out a little further on the last one.
Yeah. When you're the ice tech, I mean, when you're crafting the ice, what sort of curl are you trying to go for? Because we've seen about 4 to 4.5 feet, I think, through this weekend.
That's what we're shooting for.
Okay.
4.5 feet. If they're taking broom on the edge of the 8 foot, it's looking pretty good. You don't want 2 feet, and it gets really tough if you've got 6. So.
I feel like they want to be undercover here, and so
they have to be undercover.
So
and not even necessarily fully undercover. If they're half to 2/3 buried, it's pretty good. But this looks heavy and wide.
Yeah.
So it's going to come down to their own red back in the back.
It jams on the yellow.
They are still sitting 2, but they're way at the back, and there is a double there.
Yeah. And that looks to be what Mewers is setting up for, is the double.
Yep.
Just to remove Malerich's counters.
Right.
Because if all Mewers, the fourth, now we're the 4th stones already too, as Eaton Saliners get set. All Eaton Saliners needs to do is draw for the win.
Exactly.
That's an ideal setup, you know.
And that was why I was saying earlier, if they had instead of, I think they took out one that was on the 4 foot, and instead, if they'd taken out the one that was out front, that guard, they would have had draw pass, multiple draw pass rather than one draw pass.
And then also, as a skip, how important is to follow the adage that you always want to leave at least one draw to the button?
Oh, in this case, that's the most important thing to have, is you gotta leave yourself that one path.
Oh.
Jam's still sitting 2. We give him another opportunity to try and get one buried here.
So do they even need to have it buried? I mean, if they keep it high.
If they keep it high, they don't have to. They can keep it high.
Because this is the last draw for Malerich. Yeah.
They keep it high, force them to draw.
But they would want to be like full 12 if they want to keep it high.
Right. You've got to be you want it. If you're going to leave it high, you want it to be in a point where if the other team hits it, they can't outcount yours in the back.
So Malerich is sitting 2, looking to close the door as much as they can to make it that much harder for Mewers' 4th, Alex Eaton Saliners to
draw in.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes deep, it sets up a hit. So
Yeah.
Deep is the wrong side of the miss here.
Yes.
The wrong side of the inch. So these Malerich rocks have been heavy the last 2 throws at the very least. So let's see if he can dial the weight back. This is a critical shot coming now from Jeremy Malerich for his last, without the hammer, needing to steal 1 to tie, 2 or more for the win. Sweeping it.
Sweeping a bit. Looks like it's on a pretty good line.
It looks like it might be on the guard. If they raise the guard, it's not too bad.
Looks like it's just going to get by. Yep, just got by.
Wow.
Not a bad shot, but it's a little higher than they wanted. They needed that probably another foot or so, 2 feet on that path to really cut down the scoring area to just the 4 foot. So now they just need full 8 foot.
And also like another rocker or 2 to the left, I think, would also have been good. How much ice were they giving on that shot?
I think they had it on the edge of the 8 foot.
So I just seeing just the difference in weight.
In weight, yeah. It really goes at the end.
All right, well.
We did just, there's always the talk about sandpaper in the rocks and stuff, and we did actually just do that early this week, so give it that a little extra finish.
Well, this is the last shot now coming for Alex Eaton Saliners, facing at least 2, needs to be full 8 foot. For
sweepers are saying it's up, but they do have backing.
It's hanging out there.
It's hanging way out. Uh-oh.
Needs to come back. Their sweepers are trying to push it over. Is it going to get over enough? It's going to be close, but it's going to go right past. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Malerich steals the win.
Yep.
At least 2. Just that's curling, man.
Steal.
Yeah, you would think that, you know, and sometimes the team that's up stays up, and that, you know, percentage-wise, that's true. But the underdog can come back, and we saw that here. Just
especially you get a big lead and you start playing a little differently, and next thing you know, you're giving up points.
Goodness gracious! But there were also certain things that the both teams could have done to you know, change to have a different outcome.
For sure.
But that's the game. And thank you so much for joining us here, Sean.
No problem.
It was great calling.
Yep.
I think I called at least one of your games at the event.
Yep.
So
yeah, I think we were on there once, and so now I have to go out and do the ice, get it ready for the next draw.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back at 1:30. So just under 2 hours from now, our featured game is listed to be a Team Leclerc taking on Team Siggins. That should be a great matchup. So please do join us then, and at that point we'll know the playoff situation, if tiebreakers are going to be needed. So we'll see if you know.
We're hoping that the ice crew's all hoping no tiebreakers. That way we get to sleep in on Sunday.
So yes, if there's 2 tiebreakers needed, then we would be that's 2 additional draws that we would need.
Exactly.
So yeah, tiebreakers, I mean, they can be fun to watch sometimes, but in terms of the staffing, it's like.
Yep. Yep.
Although we have the time built in, it's a very generous time padding.
Yes.
So, so even if we only needed 1 tiebreaker, it wouldn't be too bad. But we'll see what happens. We'll be back at 1:30. And so for now, for all of us here at MoPac and Coyotes Curling, this has been your host Ryan, joined by Sean. We'll see you at 1:30. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good curling. All right now.
Well done, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you so much.